Troy from Ace Appliance in Toledo, Ohio. Welcome back to another in-home diagnostic video brought to you by ApplianceVideo.com. Okay, today what we're looking at is a Whirlpool refrigerator. It's got the freezer on bottom, French doors on top. Got water dispenser through the door, and it has ice that just dumps into a bucket down below. Customer's situation is that they're not getting any more ice production. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to jump out the ice maker. I'm going to make it go into a harvest mode so that I can listen and see if we're getting water production up, if I can hear the valve coming on or not. To jump that out on the ice maker, if you take the cover off, you're going to see a few different holes in it, and each hole has a letter next to it. The potential tools you'll need for this repair are going to be either a drill with a flex extension with a 1/4 inch nut driver, or a 1/4 inch nut driver. You're going to need a flashlight, potential flat blade screwdriver, a jumper wire that is insulated, and your meter. Okay, so if you can see the ice maker now, what you're going to see is there's a few different spots where you can access the ice maker. Each one has a corresponding letter to it. What I'm going to jump out is N for neutral and M for motor, and I'm going to jump it out with just an insulated wire. The insulated wire has exposed ends, so when I put them in there, they're going to make contact between the contacts, but I'm not going to get shocked when I hold on to it. So I'm going to insert them in there, and what I'm going to do is push the door switch shut, and I should see that white gear start to rotate. I'm going to let it rotate with the wire in there until I hear a little click. Once I hear a little click, I'm just going to remove the wire and let it process to go through, and then we're going to wait. It can take a minute or two for it to cycle all the way through, and we're going to listen for the ice maker to send power to the water valve down below and wait and listen for the water to come on from there. So now after I inserted the wire jumper in there, I'm holding the door switch shut, and you can see the gear is slowly rotating. And we just want it to slowly rotate, and we're going to wait for the gears or the raker arms inside the ice tray to come back up to probably either 10, 12, or 2, and be listening for the water valve in the back to make noise. So something else I'm going to do just to make sure that I am getting power down to my valve, you can take your voltage meter and set it to volts AC. You can take your meter leads, and inside on this motor we've got N for neutral, and we've got a V over here, and the V stands for valve. So I'm going to insert my leads into each one of those, and I'm going to depress the door switch again, and I'm going to wait to see if I get 120 volts sent down to my valve. And when I have 120 going down to my valve, I should have ice, or water, excuse me, coming into the ice maker. I'm going to hold the door switch back in. It's rotating again. Now I'm just going to watch my meter and wait to see if I get 120 down. And if you can see on the unit right now, you can see the arm. This arm right here is starting to raise up. What that arm is doing is going to raise up, because if there was ice in the ice tray, the ice is going to be getting pushed out right now, and it's going to dump into the ice bucket. And the reason why it goes up, because once the ice drops, if that bucket is full, that arm will not set down all the way, and if it does not set back down all the way, the ice maker will not produce more ice until the ice level is low enough for that arm to set all the way back down, and then it'll cycle again and call for water. I had power down to the valve, not quite 120. So what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to inspect a few other things, and I'm going to look up a couple parts of this unit to make sure that 94 volts is enough for it to cycle the valve on and or off. Okay, so the ice maker did not produce water up to the unit. So I know that I'm getting water through the door, so I know the valve is at least working on one side. What I want to double check though is I want to make sure that I'm not frozen inside here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by removing the water line and this cap to see if I have any ice inside. A lot of pressure behind there. When I pull the line out, you see that it splat water out. That partially is telling me that we have a lot of water pressure behind the line when it's trying to come through. So we're going to pull this off and see what I see inside.
We apologize for your wait. Your call will be handled in the order received. To maintain your priority, please do not hang up.
Now you can see after I pull this out of the refrigerator, it is frozen solid in the end. It's frozen all the way back. This is a soft, pliable plastic. I should be able to bend it. So what that's telling me is this line is froze, and it most likely was caused by the poor water pressure coming up to the unit. So what I've done is I've adjusted the saddle valve in and back out downstairs, and just about double the water flow coming to the unit. That should remedy this problem. You can either A, do that on your saddle valve multiple times. I typically would recommend about every, say, 3 to 4 years, 2 to 4 years in that range, replacing your saddle valve, because they do clog with calcium depending on where you live in the country. Or your best option is going to be to have a plumber out to sweat you in a quarter turn valve into your water line, so you don't have to keep replacing and moving the saddle valves. I'm gonna run it under some hot water so I can melt the ice out. I'm gonna re-jump the ice maker out to make sure it's gonna produce and send water up to the unit and make sure we get ice production. Now the ice has been removed, so all I'm gonna do is reinsert this back in. If it doesn't go in easily for you, like mine is not, it's most likely because the tube that it fits through on the other side has moved. Because this piece right here is another extension tube that comes out the end that goes to it. So what I have to do is go around to the front of the refrigerator, move that tube off, and reposition it back in. Alright, so I got the tube back in. I'm going to have to come back inside the refrigerator and reposition the fill tube inside. But to start off with, I'm going to get my hose put back in where it goes. Bring my clamp back up so I know that my clamp will go back over here and clamp it together. Reposition back into place and reattach. Now you don't want to make a habit of taking this out if you can avoid it, because it is just screwing into plastic, and over time that plastic will wear out to where it won't grip anymore, and then you're going to get excessive moisture building up inside of the unit. Clamp back in, my hose secure. I can now reposition the refrigerator back and come back in from the front to get my fill tube repositioned again. Okay, so now from the inside I have to reposition this tube extension so that it will fill into the fill tray of the ice maker. I'm going to try to do it without removing the ice maker if I can, but I may have to take the ice maker all the way out. Now the top 2 screws, I just removed the bottom screw. The top 2 screws, just loosen them up enough to where you should be able to lift the ice maker up off of them and slide it out. Remove the ice maker, I can set it aside. Take my plastic fill tube and reinsert it over the other one. Once I have it reinserted back over the other one, I can then reposition the ice maker again. So I've got the ice maker back in place. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tighten the screws down, and I'm going to double check to make sure that fill tube extends far enough into the fill cup on the ice maker. But I have to tighten the ice maker down first so I don't push it back out of position. As you're doing this, a little flex extension comes in handy unless you're removing the whole door, which I was trying to avoid doing. And if yours is like this one and you can pick up that beeping noise that we're having right now, it beeps because the door is open for an extended period of time. Once we shut the door, the beeping will stop to make the noise. It just does it because I had the door open. It's just an alarm to let you know that your door has been open for an extended period. Now I'm going to reach back into the very back, make sure that I can feel the extension for the fill line coming into the fill cup of the ice maker. If not, when it calls for water, it's going to leak into your freezer and onto the floor, and it's going to come out onto your actual floor. And it'll also freeze in the bottom, and you may or may not be able to open the door depending on how much water gets caught down there. And it's not extended out far enough, so I had to come back over to this side so I can reach in there, and I'm just going to extend it back down just a little bit. So now that I've got the extension back in place properly, I'm going to take my jumper wire again, I'm going to re-jump it out, I'm going to make it cycle, and I'm going to make sure I'm getting water into my ice maker. So again, I'm going to take my extension tube and I'm going to go ahead, or I'm going to take my jumper wire and I'm going to jump it from N to M, N for neutral, M for motor, push the door switch, hold it there until I hear a click or until the ice maker rotates maybe a 1/5 or a 1/6 of the way around. Pull the jumper wire out, keep pulling the door switch down. If it continues to rotate, I had it in there long enough. If it stops, reinsert it back in, push the door switch down, wait till you hear the click, pull it out, it should continue to rotate. So again, jumper wire, N to M, and then it's specifically for this model. Some models, or specifically to this ice maker, some ice makers may have different letters. You just have to make sure you're corresponding it to the right ones. I push the door switch in. The wheel is starting to rotate. I will wait to listen. Little click. Pull it out. As long as I hold the door switch down now, it'll rotate. So again, just like before, I'm going to take and I'm going to put my meter back in to the V for valve and N for neutral. I'm going to watch for voltage jump to make sure I have water coming up to the unit. Alright, so you see the lever going back up again. That means that it's getting to the end of its harvest cycle, meaning that it's getting ready to push the ice out of the ice maker into the ice bucket. And once it does that, it'll call for water, and we should be able to hear it and also see it on the meter. Hear it, we jumped up voltage. Heard water coming into the unit. What I would do is just check with your finger as close to the front as you can, make sure you feel water. If you feel water, then you've solved the problem. And then what I would do is just toss out the first batch or two of ice because you just had your dirty fingers in it. And we have water, so I will inform the customer to throw out the first batch or two of dirty ice cubes since my fingers were in there, and she should be all set. Thank you for watching another quality video brought to you by ApplianceVideo.com.